What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the show recap with Mo. Well, we're getting ready to get into another breakdown of Tyler Perry's Sistas. But before we get into this thing, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss shit snit that's going down, alright? So the episode we're getting ready to get into is for season 7, episode number 13, titled Who Can I Run To? Now, the synopsis for this episode states, Andi is presented with an offer to help take Gary down once and for all. Danni and Fatima can't seem to keep Karen's big news to themselves. Now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this thing. Alright, y'all, so we kicked this episode off where we left off with Gary, Andi, and Jordan, right? So they all meet up at the police station. Well, they don't meet up together because Jordan is coming to report that, his sister Penelope is missing. Andi is there to support him. But when they get there, they see very quickly that Gary has already beaten them to the punch. He's there to convey to the detective, his own version of the story of what actually happened to Penelope, right? So he's putting everything on Andi. Telling him that, she's an attorney, but don't let her looks or her profession, confuse things. She's really vindictive and all of these good things, right? So when Andi and Jordan see this man, they immediately go in on him. And of course, the detective has to step in and he's like, hey, y'all need to calm down, or I'm gonna have to detain y'all, right? So anyhow, long story short, Gary is good at his job, y'all. He's really, really good at what he's doing right now. So this man is putting on fake tears. He's all emotional. And he was like, look, I just want to know what's going on with my fiance. And I just know that she was the last one to, talk to her or even see her. So I just want to know what we need to do to find her because I can't breathe. And then all of a sudden his mind switches and he was like, would you mind telling the officer, what type of conversation you and my fiance were having? I was like, what happened to the tears, bro? What happened to the tears, man? So anyhow, long story short, the detective, that he's telling all of this information to us like, hey, let's go ahead and go into this room because obviously you haven't shared everything with me. And then there's another guy that comes along and he's like, hey, do you have another, room available or whatnot? So he was like, yeah, you can take that one. So the gentleman then goes over to Andi to, ask her to come along with him. And Andi tells Jordan to just head home because she's concerned right now because she feels like they both shouldn't have came down to the police station together, as she's thinking about it because he's already gone through one scandal and we don't need you going through another one, definitely in this political race, right? So anyhow, he supposedly goes home. Now, they go into this room when he starts to, question her. And she was like, are you questioning me? Like, are you interrogating me? He was like, no, I'm actually trying to help you if you hear me out. So he goes on to ask her, when was the last time that, you actually spoke to Penelope or whatnot? And she was like, look, you're focusing on the wrong person. I just came down here to assist my boyfriend to put in this police report about his sister missing. I'm honestly concerned. And it was like, okay, that's all good. He said, but I'm here to help you. And he was like, you really don't remember me? And she was like, no, why would I? I was like, dang, like. So anyhow, he's like, think about it for a moment. And he goes on to tell her that the last time that he saw her, he was physically taking items from her crib due to an embezzlement case. So now Andi is like, Agent Wyatt? And it was like, close. He was like, Special Agent Watt. And she was like, oh, okay, so you done moved up. He was like, yeah. And she was like, well, why in the world are you questioning me about this situation? And then she thinks about it for a moment and she was like, Gary. And he was like, yeah. So now she's like, well, I heard that, that the FBI and all of these people were looking into Gary and all of this good stuff. He was like, good, because I actually need your help. So you're looking for Penelope and I need information and intel on Gary, right? So what I need you to do is to be a witness so we can actually, do what we need to do to get rid of this fool, right? And she was like, well, I don't know what I can do. And he goes for the juggler because he was like, look, I ain't got time to play today. I'm gonna go ahead and let you know real quick that we got everything that we need. It's all lined out. And as a matter of fact, we already know that your house with your name on it was purchased with illegal funds. The car that you're riding around with was purchased with illegal funds. Now, we can make this real easy, or we can make this a little bit harder for you, because the longer that this case goes out, the harder it's going to be to discern between your financials and his financials. And she was like, oh. And I'm like, real quick, she found out that what she was talking about, he wasn't going for. So she might as well play by the rules, right? So anyhow, going on from there, we head outside to see Gary going to meet up with his boy at the car, right? And he's telling him that everything is good and they have no clue about what's going on. But then he also mentions to him that, I still want you to do what I talked to you about, right? And he was like, yeah, it's already in motion and whatnot. So long story short, they both get into the vehicle and they drive off. Now, as they're driving away, the camera pans over to this other vehicle and we actually see an individual in that vehicle, and it just so happens to be Jordan. Now, Jordan, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's thinking. Actually, I take that back. I know exactly what this man is thinking. My sister is gone and I need to figure out what the heck is going on at this moment, right? So he drives off, and I'm assuming that that's, at this point, he doesn't care what happens to him. He just wants to know what's going on with his sister Penelope, right? So going on from there, we head over to see Zach and Fatima at the crib or whatnot, right? So, she's sitting down eating breakfast. Zach comes downstairs, and she was like, where are you rushing off to? He tells her that, first and foremost, that he needs to go and find an attorney to assist him with getting his money back from Gary. And I'm like, good luck with that. And then he also states that he's going to call, Karen to see if he can set up a trust for, Michael and baby girl. So I guess he's assuming that his part of the twin set is a little girl, right? That's what he's wishing for, right? So anyhow, Fatima is sitting here like, dude, you still got 3 kids. Because they are a package. He was like, no, I take care of mine. He takes care of his. As a matter of fact, if Karen wouldn't have been receiving both of our packages at the same time, then we would not even be in this mess. And I'm sitting here like, hold on, bro. Listen. I'm like, come on, man. Like, Fatima has to tell this man, like, why couldn't you have wrapped your package up? And I'm like, better yet, why couldn't you have not done it to begin with? Because we would not be in this mess. You wouldn't be dealing with Aaron, all of this drama that you got going on, man. You got to make better decisions, Zach. You got to make better decisions. And I've been saying this from the get-go. Make better decisions. Don't have stupid outcomes. But it is what it is at this moment, and that's what we're dealing with. So anyhow, we're sitting here. She's on the computer, and she's looking up this this term and this superfragilistic expialidocious. I'm just saying, I could not help myself. So she was like, do you know how hard it is for this stuff to happen, right? And Fatima tells Zach that he needs to reach out to Aaron to talk about co-parenting. And Zach is like, absolutely not. And I feel like at this moment, Zach is not being realistic about the situation, because how in the heck is this going to work with twins? They are still siblings. Regardless if you want to admit it or not, Zach, they are still attached because they are siblings. And you're going to have to get over this notion that, no, this is mine, this is his, and all of that. That is so very immature. And I hate that Zach is responding the way that he's responding right now. But anyhow, going on from there, we see Karen at her new salon receiving a phone call from Zach. Zach is calling her to tell her that, hey, I just wanted to sit down and have a conversation with you since it's just the two of us. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And long story short, he wants to talk to her about setting up a trust for his half on the baby. And she was like, look, Zach, I don't have a half a set. I have 2 babies. And he was like, yeah, but if we're going to be realistic, they got 2 babies' fathers, right? And she was like, okay, we're not going to do that. And honestly, I'm actually in agreement with Karen at this moment, because Zach needs to grow the heck up and realize that what he's saying right now is so unrealistic, right? Yes, they got two babies' fathers. Yes, it's a stressful situation, but do not cause more stress on the woman. Do not bring more stress to the situation. Most importantly, you're making this bad for you. Because if you make the mother of your child mad, bro, you're making it hell for yourself. So, listen, I don't know what else to, I don't know what else to say, but it's not looking great for Zach. So anyhow, going on from there, we head over to the law firm where we see Andi in her office, and then later we see Fatima coming in to sit down with her. They both have, some things that they're dealing with right now, and obviously both of them can tell that something is not right with the other. So of course, Fatima's like, girl, what's going on with you? She was like, look, you would not believe what's going on with me. And she was like, try me. Because right now, I believe that pigs can fly, and I believe in unicorns or some crap like that, right? So anyhow, she was like, what's going on with you? So she was like, look, we got the DNA test back yesterday. And she was like, oh, so Zach's not the father. She was like, well, surprisingly, no. And she was like, what? She was like, of one baby. And now Andi is sitting here like, what? Huh? Like, that doesn't make any sense, right? And she was like, right. But, it is what it is at this moment. And then Andi is like, look, I don't even have the time to even comprehend what you're talking about right now. Fatima's like, I can write a whole thesis on it, because she's been up all night, frustrated, trying to figure out what the heck is going on. How did all of this come to be? How it came to be is your dude got up in old girl, and that's how they came to be. All right, leave it at that. Nothing else to be talked about. We already got the DNA, situation going on. So from there, Andi goes on to tell her, what went down, how they went down to the precinct and all of this stuff. Old boy was down there trying to put the story on her. But not only that, there was an FBI agent, the same agent that came here with the search warrant, investigating Gary's embezzlement and all of that good stuff. He was there, the same guy, right? And Fatima's like, for real? She was like, yeah. So they are investigating, and all they need from me is to be a witness. Now, Fatima is sitting over here like, girl, I don't know nothing about that. I don't know if I would do that or not. Now, Andi is sitting here like, yeah, I agree with you. But at the same daggone time, she's not trying to serve any time. She doesn't want any of her information being brought up in any of this. So she's hearing what Fatima is saying, but that's going in one ear and out the other. Because I'm like, no, Mo ain't serving no time for nobody, right? If I ain't do no crime, I'm not going in jail. Like, for what? No. Me? No. Man, what y'all need to know? What y'all need to know, man? So anyhow, going on from there, man, we head over to the branch where Maurice and Carrie are still going at it. It's still going on. Miss Mabel comes in. She wants to cash her little social security check or whatnot. And, while she's sitting there trying to get her money, old girl Carrie is looking at him, watching his every move. Maurice was like, why are you watching me? She was like, well, I'm trying to make sure that you know what you're doing with her check or whatnot. So Maurice, I felt, should have ignored her, and then just went over to talk to Sabrina, which he did, but I wish that he wouldn't have gone back and forth. Definitely, sometimes when it starts getting tense, in certain types of conversations, you have to remove yourself from that situation, because when old girl started feeling threatened and she started to utilize words that could get you fired, essentially, right? Because when she started talking about going to HR, now Maurice has to be on the defense at this moment. So he has to go and protect himself. So now he's running over to Sabrina's office. And when he walks into Sabrina's office, he sees her with her shirt raised up. She's getting ready to administer another shot. And I'm like, daggone, how many daggone shots? How many shots do you need, right? So, I hate this for her. Like, I'm just being honest. Like, I've said it so many times in other videos, like, she needs to find somebody that's willing to give her what she wants, right? Like, I'm not talking about on no finance type of ish. None of that. Like, she just wants a man to love her, to give her a family, and live and grow together. That's all she wants at this moment. And this dude that she's with, I almost said bum. He's not a bum. He just knows what he wants, and what he does not want is children, right? And you can't force this man to want kids. And I'm sitting here like you're giving him all of you, but he's not giving you all of him. So why stick this ish out when you don't have to, right? So anyhow, moving on from there, she asked Maurice to, assist her in that situation and whatnot, but she also wants to know why he's in her office to begin with, right? So he conveys to her that, hey man, I had to cuss a chick out. And she was like, I know you're not out here cussing out the customers. He was like, no, I'm professional. And I was like, no, you're not, bro. You are not professional. You're far from that, right? So anyhow, she was like, look, I'm going to deal with it. Definitely after he told her what was stated. So she's feeling like, she's coming after her as well, because if she's approaching Maurice in this way, then she possibly feels the same way about Sabrina. So after all of that, Sabrina says, thank you for coming in, talking to me, all of that good stuff, and giving me, my shot that I needed. And she goes on to say, hey, I'm going to need you later on today as well. And he was like, Dad, go on, Kiki Wyatt. I said, y'all wrong for that, man. Listen, if that woman want to have 11,000 children, let her have 11,000 children. That's what she wants. If she can afford them, if she can pay for them, there it is, right? Now, Sabrina conveys to Maurice that she's protecting the embryos as well as the eggs, right? So I was like, okay, but I just hate this for her, because these shots look painful. I mean, every time he gives her a shot, she has this look on her face of pain. And I'm like, Dad, gone. Like, is it worth it? Right? So anyhow, going on from there, next we head back over to Karen's salon, where we see Karen looking around the salon and observing all of, Pam's products all over the building, right? So she's like, Dad, go on, Pam, do you need all of these products all around or whatnot? And Pam is like, you can never have enough products or whatnot. So, from there, Karen conveys to her that she just doesn't have the bandwidth right now to deal with this situation. So I'm going to let it alone, right? So anyhow, Pam is like, oh, you had a rough night last night, right? Like, you were up late. She was like, you could say that. And she was like, oh, so did Trey come over there to drop something off? Did he drop off a package or whatnot? And Karen has to let her know that she's not interested in Trey at all. And she was like, well, he's fine and all of this stuff, whoop, 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 and all of this. And I'm sitting here like, Dad, go on, Pam. Like, look at your boss's stomach. Look at her belly right now. She's pregnant with twins. She's not concerned about getting in no situationship right now. Not right now. Even if she did like Trey, I still don't see it going down like Pam is assuming that it would go down, right? So while Pam is still standing there trying to figure out why she's not interested in Trey and all of this good stuff, she was like, I'm just not. And then all of a sudden, Aaron comes into the building. Now, when Aaron comes in, Pam sees him and she was like, oh, so is this why you holding out on Trey? And Pam is messy. We already know she's messy, been messy, all of that, right? So it is what it is with her. But Karen is like, here we go with this. Now, when Brother Aaron comes into the building, her body language changes, right? Because she really does not want this man in her presence. She really doesn't want that man's baby inside her womb. If we're going to be honest here, right? She really doesn't want his child at all. She would prefer for both of those kids to be Zach's. And I mean, I'm just putting it out there. I'm not putting anything out there that you have not yet thought about internally, right? Because, look, she does not want him around. When you tell somebody, I need you to call before you show up, I need you to come when ain't nobody here. I don't want to be seen by you, like, with you or none of that. Like, I don't want that. Right? or at least I can get myself ready or prepared, just in case I have to defend myself while you are here, because that's what she's doing right now with Pam all up in the business. Also, he back in the picture? Now she has to tell Pam, like, no, he's not in the picture, so why is he here now? Now, you know what I'm saying? Now she has to tell her potentially why he's here, or have to lie about why he's here. Why is he back showing up at the salon or whatnot? Daggone it. So, right now it seems like here and now, I don't need you to show up. All right? I need you to respect me with that. And luckily for her, she got to do like Aaron, who, he's going to respect her wishes to a certain extent, right? He's not going to try to overstress her. He also tells her that, he's super excited about both babies, not just one half, right? I'm excited about both. And that's a good dude. You know what I'm saying? That's a great dude. Couldn't be me, but he's a great dude. And I'm hoping that Karen does not continue to use him to get his Zach. And what I mean by that is this. It is quite apparent that Karen doesn't want this dude around. And what I mean by that, you can see it in her speech. You can see it in her body language. She does not want him around at all. But ironically, when she started to mention Zach and his whole, what he was trying to do for his one half of the womb, when he had told her that he was going to, set up a trust fund for little Michael as well as, his little baby girl or whatnot. So, what are you going to bring to the table? What are you doing in all of this? Because if he's doing that, how are you going to compete with that? And I'm like, this is not a competition, Karen. And I know y'all may not agree. Y'all don't have to agree with me, but I'm just saying I'm not liking what I'm seeing right here. That's the... Man, okay. Look, I'm going to have to share that part with y'all on another video because I don't have the time. I do not have the time to dive into this like I really want to, specifically about this situation, right? With Karen, Aaron, and Zach, right? We'll talk about it, but not right now. But anyhow, getting back to the show real quick, here's another example. So Pam puts it out there that Aaron has invested in her Roots to Riches, her brand. So now after hearing this, Karen is standing over here with her arms crossed talking about, hold on, wait a minute. Do y'all think that would have been a good idea to tell me about it? And I'm sitting here like, why? What the for? This is what I'm saying. Why we need to tell you anything? Like Aaron stated, we're not talking. We were not talking. We were not on good terms at that moment. You told me that, hey, I will holler at you when I need to holler at you. So what do we need to talk about? Now, all of a sudden, now you want to be mad about that whole situation and call Pam out and whatnot. And I loved how Pam walked away. She excused herself talking about, oh, okay, and walks off, right? Aaron could do nothing but laugh at the situation, right? So anyhow, don't get in your feelings now. And Aaron is trying to stay cool. He ain't trying to stress her out or whatnot. And he was like, look, I could tell you bothered. And she is bothered. And she conveys to him that she's a little bothered because, you're a little too connected with all the people that I know. Like, everybody I'm friends with, you friends with. Like, you involved with my assistant, all of these things. Like, and now you within my womb. Like, you and Zach got more connections than you know, man. So anyhow, going on from there, Karen also tells Aaron that, Zach has been calling and stressing her out. So Aaron is like, so I'm going to go ahead and talk to him. She was like, no, don't do that. Don't do that on my account or whatnot. He was like, no, it's going to be copacetic. We're going to be good. Everything is going to be good. It's different now, right? So you think, right? So she was like, okay, well, just keep me out of it. Go ahead and talk to him. But see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Why in the heck would you even mention that, right? That's my whole point in all of this. You already know how Aaron is. And if he goes over there to attempt to talk to Zach, Zach ain't trying to hear it. They do not get along. Zach does not want to be around him. He's just like you. He does not want to be around Aaron, right? So anyhow, moving on from there, man. Next we head over to see Jordan pulling up on Gary's boy Hudson talking to a lady outside of this building, right? So, he's telling her that, she needs to keep her mouth shut. Woo, woo, woo. So after she leaves from Hudson's presence or whatnot, Jordan runs up from behind, grabs her arms. She jerks her arm away from him and she's like, don't put your hands on me or whatnot, right? So he was like, oh, I apologize. I thought you were my sister Penelope, right? And I'm like, hold on, bro. You knew that was not your sister, but I'm going to go ahead and go with what you're talking about because I see where you're going with this, right? So anyhow, he tells her that, hey, I'm sorry, I apologize. And then he asked her if she worked there or whatnot. She was like, well, I was an intern once before, and my name is Claire. So we got a name, we know where she worked. But as she's looking at him, she was like, hey, you look real familiar. Are you that Jordan Williams guy running for office or whatnot? And he was like, no, I get that all of the time. My name is Raymond or some crap like that, right? And I was like, for real, bro? So Raymond, out of all the daggone names you could have found, my name is Raymond, right? So anyhow, going on from there, Jordan, he asked, a little bit about Hudson and all of that good stuff. And she was like, he's a jerk or what, all of that good stuff, right? So he's like, yeah, I got an interview there and all of this good stuff. And he was like, what's the other guy's name? Darn, I'm bad. I'm bad with names or whatnot. And she was like, Gary? He was like, yeah, Gary. And she was like, yeah, I can tell you about him, but I can't do it right here. Look, you just need to walk along with me because it's a whole lot, right? So, they walk off together. Over at the basketball court later on that night, we see Zach out there standing, not standing, but shooting the ball or whatnot when Aaron shows up. I don't know why he decided to come out there tonight, but he did convey to Karen that he was going to go and talk to Zach, right? So Aaron pretty much tells Zach that, hey, I'm prepared to take care of both children if need be or whatnot. Zach tells him that he's good and that he's going to handle his part of the package, right? And he's like, man, why you got to do that? Why are you stressing Karen out? That's not good. Whoa. Like, and, I can understand his point. His vantage point is very valid. I mean, he is the father of one of the C's, he is that. But at the same time, you just can't think about yourself in this situation. First and foremost, you got to think about the mom, the one that's carrying the babies, right? Don't stress her out because when you stress her out, you stress those kids out. So right now, let's just play it cool. Let's focus on the things that's going to benefit her as well as the twins. And then once the twins are born, Zach, Aaron, Karen, then we can sit down and we can hash this out, even a couple of weeks before they show up. Let's just have a plan in place, how we're going to co-parent and all of that good stuff. Because where Zach is being unreal is the fact that I'm just going to take care. I'm just going to, provide and all of this stuff. You're going to provide for that child, but also you cannot separate that child from the other child. And I think about my twins that I have at the crib. Like, my wife and I talk about it all the time. They argue all the time. They love all the time. But you know what? At the end of the day, they always say we need one another. Like, they love being around one another. Like, how in the heck how's that going to work, Zach? Is it not going to work for you to just think that you're going to be able to just come over here, get your child, and walk off, right? That would be perfect in the world of Zach. But it's not going to go down like that. So we're going to go ahead and move on, right? So anyhow, from there, we head over to the salon where we see Karen closing down shop. When the door opens, now I do not understand why the door was not locked. Specifically, if they were getting ready to close down the shop or whatnot. But anyhow, it is what it is. Karen is like, so do you typically do after hour, visits, with your clients or whatnot? Trey is like, well, when I like them. And I'm sitting here like, Karen, you already knew this dude has been trying to hit on you from the very beginning. Ain't no dude gonna be walking off in your establishment. I mean, even on days that he's not bringing anything to your shop and just hanging out and chilling. Oftentimes we've seen this dude sitting off in her salon. Like, he ain't working, right? He's off from work, right? I hope he's off from work. But anyhow, he's at your establishment almost every day. Then he's sitting up here putting, security cameras up there and all of this good stuff out of his good time. No, he's putting in an investment. So now he's coming to see what he can do with that investment. So, she was like, well, I just want you to know that I'm not looking at you like this and all of this good stuff. And he was like, well, I'm glad that you let me know, because she's like, well, I hope you're not hitting on me because, I'm pregnant and all of this good stuff. And he was like, yeah, I see that, but that don't really bother me. And Karen is like, well, that's what's bothering me right now because I'm pregnant and you still trying to spit game at me. Listen, ladies. A dude don't care. Listen, if you got a baby in your stomach or not, some dudes just don't care. Like, you're a woman, I'm a man, let's get at it, right? So anyhow, I was about to say something, but I'm going to stay PG. If you know, right? So anyhow, going on from there, next we head over to see Danny's apartment, right? And we see Danny off in there with Sabrina. So she's invited Sabrina over to discuss something. But unfortunately, she cannot tell Sabrina what it is. She's asking Sabrina to guess what it is, right? So we're going to play a game. And we're going to play a game of charades. And I need you to, figure out what I cannot tell you, in words, but I need you to figure it out yourself, and then we could talk about it, right? So anyhow, long story short, she finally figures it out. And by the time she figures it out, she doesn't know what to do with the information. Neither does Danny, right? Because it was killing Danny to hold it in, just as it was killing Fatima to hold it in, right? She had to get it out, right? Because she's still in a state of shock, right? And I think it's different on different levels, because Fatima is just frustrated about all of this. Like, she honestly wished that neither one of the babies was his. Like, honestly, that's how I feel, but it is what it is. And then Danny, on the flip side, is just too juicy for her to keep to herself, because she's telling her from the get-go, like it's real juicy. Like, you really going to want to know this, right? And initially, Sabrina's like, no, I don't really want to know, because I know it's about Karen, because you've already said that, but I also don't want to get into the business that I should not know, but daggone it, I want to know, right? So anyhow, they super in it right now, and while they're in it, in walks Tony. Now, I'm glad that I waited to put out that video, because I told y'all I was going to talk about Tony and Danny, but daggone it, it's hitting the fan. All right, because Sabrina is getting ready to leave. She doesn't know what to say. So once she leaves, Tony comes in with this attitude. And I can already tell that it was something on his heart that he needed to get off and he needed to convey to Danny. So Danny's like, what's good? He was like, I just want to know, how in the heck did my daughter have these handcuffs? She was like, I don't know. He was like, Danny, look, I asked for you to watch my kids, but my daughter, my 11-year-old daughter, ends up with sex toys, right? And I'm sitting here looking at Tony, shaking my head, because I'm like, dude, you the fool. You knew that Danny didn't want to watch your kids. She was doing you a favor. Even though she really didn't want to do it, it's really no excuse for Danny as well, because Danny just should have stood up and said, no, heck no, I don't want to watch your kids. They're not my kids. I don't want to watch them, but I'm doing it for you. So I feel that, Danny had the right to respond the way that she did without blowing up, right? Because look, if you're not going to respect me, if you're not going to hear me out, then get the heck up out of my crib, right? I get that. At the same time, he has the right to be upset as well, because these are his kids and his kids alone. I mean, along with his wife as well, the one that's going to show up a little bit later. Maybe that wife has heard some information about those handcuffs as well, right? And she wants to get to the bottom of it as well, right? Now, I'm just saying, nobody is right, nobody's wrong in this situation. What you got is two people on two different ends of the spectrum. You got one who is a parent, who is a father, who is more responsible. And then you have one person over here that is, you have this individual over here who's not a mother. She's not super responsible, except for things that she really cares for, right? Because she's single. She's been single for a while, and she's only had to look out for herself. So it is only right, Tony, for you to just think about this before you start going in on her, because I'm blaming you, bro. You knew that this woman right here was not suitable enough to watch your kids. That ain't what she's here for. She's here to have a good time, because as soon as your kids left, as soon as you left, she ran over there to that thing to get that little puff on. Like, that's what she wanted to do. She wanted to sit up on that couch and get her puff on, watch a little bit of black and white TV, whatever it was. That's what she wanted, bro. And you took that away from her. Now I'm pissed. Oh, man. So anyhow, going on from there, we head over to Zach and Fatima's crib, where we see her cooking it up in the kitchen. I know it was smelling good. She had the music going on in the background. So Zach, when he comes in, he immediately goes over to the table, puts his baby down in her seat, and then sits down beside her and starts to eat. She was like, hold on, wait a minute. You need to wash your hands, my brother, because you have been outside, dribbling the basketball. And I'm like, yeah, go on and wash those hands. Like, go on and do that. So anyhow, he goes on to tell her how stressful of a day he's had. And she was like, okay, so what happened? He tells her that he ran into Aaron and all of this stuff. Whoop, whoop, whoop. The little conversation that they had. And she was like, well, did he get anything from Karen? He was like, well, she had to, just from the, the discussion that they had or whatnot. And, she was like, well, maybe I can give you something, some more information that you need, you were looking for, whatnot. And she goes on to tell him that she reached out to one of her friends about his, his situation with Gary. Unfortunately, it's not looking favorable. It's not looking great for him. So it's going to be a loss, right? Because Gary knew how to do what he was doing when he was doing what he was doing, right? And, unfortunately for Zach, it's not great. But it is what it is at this point. You just have to move on. And since we're talking about moving on, next we see Jordan out, at night inside of his car. He has yet to be at home. He just didn't listen to his lady in the beginning of the episode. She told him to go home, but he decided not to. So now he's sitting in his car and he receives a phone call from Andi herself. And she was like, I hope that you've had a good day. I hope that you've remained calm. All of that good stuff. Whoop, 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 right? So, she was like, so what are you doing? What have you gotten into? And when he's getting ready to go in to tell her what he's been doing or whatever he was going to make up because he ain't at home, in walks Gary inside this man's car in his back seat. He's hearing Andi on the phone and he's like, is that my chick on the phone right now? He was like, tell her I said hello. Jordan is sitting up here like, what? Like, how you get on my back seat? Because you didn't have the doors locked. Look, I'm questioning Jordan real quick. I know he upset. I know he's looking for his sister Penelope. But listen, man, you got to be smarter. What in the heck? First and foremost, rent a car. Like, if you're gonna do some surveillance on some people, driving something that's not yours with some dark tint, and then maybe you can sit with the doors locked so somebody just can't hop in your vehicle. Not saying that I've done this before. I'm just saying, right? I'm just saying, hey, do it smarter. I mean, what you're doing right now is not smart at all. And who knows what Gary is going to do, what he's going to say. Who knows? But you placed yourself in this predicament, right? So that's pretty much the end of the episode. I went over this time. Daggone, I went over. But I hope that you guys have enjoyed this recap. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to put it out earlier this week, but I got behind. I had to celebrate all weekend. So with that being said, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel so y'all don't miss shit that's going down. Tomorrow night, I got Power Book 2. I got a throwback from the 90s. So be on the look for that. I will talk to you guys soon. Peace.